You've been doing everything right. The visualizations at dawn, the scripting, the affirmations repeated until your voice goes hoarse, and yet the thing you want most remains just out of reach, like trying to grab smoke. You've asked, you've begged, you've pleaded with the universe in every way you know how, and somewhere in the exhaustion of it all, something in you is starting to break. Not in a bad way, but in the way that needs to happen. Let me show you something that changed everything for me and for thousands of people who are exactly where you are right now. There's a specific moment that happens in every manifestation journey, a pivot point that most people never recognize until after it's already happened. It's the moment you stop, not because you've given up hope, not because you don't care anymore, but because something deeper finally clicks into place. Here's what most people don't realize. When you're in a state of begging, whether you're begging the universe, God, the quantum field, whatever you want to call it, you're not just expressing desire. You're broadcasting a very specific frequency, and that frequency is the exact opposite of what you think you're sending out. You think you're saying, I want this so much. But what the field is receiving is, I don't have this. I am separate from this. I am lacking this. Every single time you beg, you're reinforcing the reality of absence. Quantum physics has shown us something extraordinary about how reality forms. The observer effect demonstrates that the act of observation collapses probability waves into specific outcomes. But here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. The quality of that observation matters. When you observe from a place of desperate longing, you're collapsing possibilities into the pattern of longing itself. You're not collapsing the wave into having. You're collapsing it into wanting. And the universe gives you exactly what you're observing, more wanting. Think about the last time something came to you effortlessly. I'm serious. Take a second and remember it. Maybe it was a parking spot that opened up right when you needed it. Maybe it was money that showed up from an unexpected source. Maybe it was a solution to a problem that suddenly became obvious. What was your energy like right before it happened? I can almost guarantee you weren't desperately begging for it. You were either not thinking about it at all, or you had this quiet certainty that it would work out. That's the frequency, that's what we're after. Your nervous system knows the difference between desire and desperation. Desire feels expansive. It's an opening, a magnetic pull towards something that feels aligned. Desperation feels like constriction. Your chest gets tight, your breathing gets shallow, your thoughts start spiraling. When you're begging, your nervous system is in a state of survival. And when you're in survival, you're operating from the oldest part of your brain, the part that's designed to see threats and lack everywhere. You literally cannot perceive abundance from that state. It's neurologically impossible. So the universe isn't withholding from you because you don't deserve it. It's not testing you. It's not making you prove yourself. It's responding to the signal you're sending. And as long as that signal is, I don't have this, I need this, please give me this, that's the reality that keeps getting reflected back to you. This isn't punishment, it's mechanics. It's how the field works. Now here's where it gets interesting. There's a moment that happens, and you might be approaching it right now, where the begging becomes too exhausting to maintain. You've tried everything. You've done the rituals. You've raised your vibration. You've cleared your blocks. You've worked on your self-worth. And you're just tired. Tired of trying to convince the universe that you're worthy. Tired of performing spiritual gymnastics. Tired of the constant mental effort of staying positive and high vibe when everything in your reality is showing you the opposite. And in that tiredness, something extraordinary can happen. You stop. Not because you've decided to give up on your desire, but because you finally give up on the begging. There's a difference, a massive difference. Giving up on your desire is resignation. It's bitter, it's defeated, it's collapsed. Giving up on begging is liberation. It's the moment you realize that your worth, your peace, your wholeness doesn't depend on whether this thing shows up or not. Let me be really clear about what this isn't. This isn't spiritual bypassing. This isn't pretending you don't want what you want. This isn't about becoming indifferent or cold. You can still deeply desire something while not being in a state of desperation about it. In fact, that's the only way desire can actually magnetize reality. Pure desire without the contraction of need is one of the most powerful forces in creation. When you stop begging, your electromagnetic field shifts. This has been measured. Studies on heart coherence show that when you move from frustration and anxiety into states of appreciation and ease, your heart's electromagnetic field becomes more coherent, more organized. It broadcasts up to 10 feet around your body. And that coherent field, it literally organizes reality around you differently. People respond to you differently. Opportunities show up differently. Synchronicities multiply because you're no longer pushing against what is, you're flowing with it. Here's the mechanism. When you're begging, you're coming from the future. You're mentally and emotionally living in a timeline where you don't have the thing and you're desperately trying to pull it into now. That creates resistance. The present moment feels wrong, incomplete, not enough. So you're constantly at war with what is. And what you resist persists. The more you resist your current reality, the more you energetically lock it in place. But when you stop begging, something miraculous happens. You drop into the present moment, not the fake present moment where you're trying to be spiritual, the real present moment where you're just here in your life, breathing, existing. And in that moment, without the constant mental strain of trying to manifest, there's space, there's openness, there's a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. This is a fundamental principle of physics. When you create space, real energetic space, something rushes in to fill it. But here's what you need to understand. You can't fake this space. You can't manipulate yourself into detachment because you think that's the trick that will finally make it work. The universe reads your underlying frequency, not your surface actions. If you're pretending not to care because you think that's how to get what you want, you're still begging. You're just begging with a different strategy. True detachment comes from a deep, cellular knowing that you're already whole, that you're already enough, that whether this thing shows up or not, you will be okay. More than okay. You'll still be you, still be connected to Source, still be a creative force in this universe. The desire doesn't disappear when you reach this state, but it transforms. It stops being about filling a hole inside you. It starts being about expressing what's already full. I want to walk you through the 3 stages of this shift, because most people get stuck between stage 1 and stage 2, and they think they're doing it wrong. Stage 1 is the begging. You know this stage well. It's the rituals, the desperation, the trying to control outcomes, the mental exhaustion. You're doing everything you can to make it happen. This stage is necessary, by the way. It's not wrong. It's where most people start, and it teaches you something crucial about what doesn't work. Stage 2 is the confusion stage. This is where you've started to understand intellectually that begging doesn't work, but you don't know what to do instead. So you swing between trying to let go and then panicking that if you let go completely, nothing will ever happen. This stage feels awful because you're caught between 2 paradigms. Part of you still believes you have to make it happen. Part of you is learning to trust that it will happen without force. You're in the middle of a fundamental identity shift, and it's uncomfortable. Stage 3 is the integration, and this is where you've genuinely stopped begging, and not because you're trying to stop, but because you finally understand at a core level that your energy is the currency of creation. You're not giving up on your desire, you're giving up on the version of yourself that believed you had to beg for it. You realize that you're not separate from the universe. You're not trying to convince something outside of you to give you something. You're aligning your internal frequency with the reality you want to experience, and then allowing it to unfold. Most people never make it to stage 3, because stage 2 is so uncomfortable they retreat back to stage 1. The begging feels safer because at least you're doing something, at least you feel like you have some control, but that control is an illusion. The only real control you have is over your own frequency, your own state of being. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to control outcomes and you start managing your energy instead, outcomes start shifting in ways that feel like magic. So how do you actually make this shift? How do you move from begging to true detachment? First, you have to catch yourself in the act. Notice when you're begging. Notice the quality of your thoughts, the sensation in your body. When you think about your desire, does your chest tighten? Does your stomach drop? Does your mind immediately go to all the reasons it's not here yet? That's begging energy. You don't need to judge it. Just notice it. Awareness is the first step. Second, you practice coming back to now, not the fake now where you're trying to be present because it's spiritual. The real now. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the air on your skin. Look around and actually see what's in front of you. Let yourself be here, in this moment, in this life, exactly as it is, without needing it to be different, just for a few breaths, just for this moment. This is how you create space. Third, you start building a relationship with trust, real trust, not the kind where you're trying to trust because you think that's what you're supposed to do. Ask yourself, what if the universe is actually on my side? What if everything that's happened, including the waiting, including the challenges, is somehow leading me exactly where I need to go? What if I don't have to force anything? What if my only job is to become the version of myself who's already living that reality and then let the details arrange themselves? This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about opening to a different possibility. Because the truth is, you don't know for certain that things won't work out. Your fear tells you they won't. Your past evidence might suggest they won't, but you don't actually know. So why not open to the possibility that they will? Not from a desperate need for them to work out, but from a curious willingness to see what happens when you stop controlling and start allowing. Here's what starts to happen when you genuinely make this shift. First, you feel lighter. There's a literal sensation of weight lifting off your chest, your shoulders, your mind, because you've been carrying the burden of trying to make something happen, and you finally set it down. Second, you start noticing things you couldn't see before. Opportunities, synchronicities, signs. They were probably always there, but your desperate frequency was too loud for you to perceive them. Third, people respond to you differently. You become magnetic in a way you weren't before, because you're no longer energetically grabbing at things. You're open, you're relaxed, you're grounded in yourself. And then, sometimes quickly, sometimes gradually, things start showing up. Not always in the exact form you imagined, often better, because when you're begging, you're so fixated on the specific picture in your mind that you miss the 10 other pathways the universe is trying to show you. When you stop begging, you become available to solutions and opportunities that your tunnel vision couldn't perceive. I need you to understand something crucial. This isn't a trick. This isn't another manifestation technique where you pretend not to care so that the universe finally gives you what you want. If you approach it that way, it won't work, because that's still begging. It's just begging with a different costume on. The shift has to be real. You have to genuinely arrive at a place where you know you're okay either way, where you trust yourself enough to handle whatever comes, where you remember that you're not a beggar standing outside the gates of abundance. You're a creator, a frequency, a focal point of consciousness having a human experience. Your desire is valid. Let me say that again. Your desire is valid. You're allowed to want what you want. The universe isn't judging you for wanting it, but the question is, who's doing the wanting? Is it the small self, the scared self, the self that believes it's broken and incomplete without this thing? Or is it the true self, the expanded self, the self that wants to experience this desire as an expression of its creative power, not as a patch for a wound? When you stop begging, you're not abandoning your desire, you're elevating it. You're bringing it into alignment with who you really are. And from that place, manifestation isn't work. It's natural. It's inevitable. Because you're no longer split between wanting and having. You're whole. And wholeness magnetizes everything that matches its frequency. There's a practice I want to give you, something you can do today, right now. Bring to mind the thing you've been begging for. Really feel it. Feel the wanting, the longing, all of it. Don't push it away. Now, place your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, I release the need to beg for this. I am already whole. If this comes, beautiful. If it doesn't, I'll still be okay. I trust that whatever is meant for me will find me in the perfect timing, as in the perfect way. Say it until you feel something shift inside, until the grip loosens just a little. You might need to do this practice 100 times. You might need to do it every day for a month. That's okay. You're rewiring decades of conditioning that told you you had to earn love, earn abundance, earn your place in the universe. You're remembering something much older and truer, that you're a sovereign being, that you're made of the same creative force that spins galaxies and grows flowers from seeds. You don't beg for your right to exist. You don't beg for your right to create. You simply are. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you really get this, once you embody it even just a little bit, you'll notice that the things you were desperately chasing start appearing. Not because you tricked the universe, but because you finally got out of your own way. You stopped blocking the flow with your fear. You stopped collapsing the wave function into lack. You started allowing reality to respond to the truth of who you are. The universe has been trying to give you everything you wanted all along, but it can't give you something you're vibrationally refusing to receive. And begging is refusing to receive. Because begging says, I'm not it yet, I don't have it yet, I'm separate from it. When you stop begging, you're finally saying, I am it, I have it. Not in the future, now. In my energy, in my frequency, in my knowing. And the physical reality has no choice but to reflect that back to you. This is your permission to stop. Stop the exhausting mental effort. Stop the desperate rituals. Stop trying to prove yourself worthy. You already are. You always have been. The thing you want, it's not being withheld from you. It's waiting for you to become the version of yourself who no longer needs to beg for it. And the moment you do, the moment you drop into that sovereign, trusting, whole frequency, watch how fast everything changes. You've been closer than you think this entire time. The finish line isn't more begging, more trying, more doing. It's surrender. Real surrender. The kind that feels like coming home to yourself. The kind that knows, deeply knows, that you are the universe experiencing itself. And the universe doesn't beg itself for anything. It simply creates, allows, receives. That's what you're learning to do. That's what you're becoming. And once you feel it work even once, you'll never go back to begging again, because you will finally understand what you've always been. Not a beggar, but a creator who forgot for a little while just how powerful you actually are.